you've got the most exciting fullback in world rugby. When he gets the ball, it lights up the stadium. But in front of him is a front row which somehow forgot how to scrummage in the second half.
Wales are wearing white and Japan are wearing blue. What moron decides these things?
You used to send coaches out to everywhere else in the world and upskill the rest of the world in rugby. You look like you need a few to come and help you give us a helping hand.
DSPN is brought to you by Novus Glass, proud partner of the Special Olympics New Zealand. The Special Olympics New Zealand National Summer Games is in Christchurch, Ōtautahi, this December. Across New Zealand, Aotearoa athletes, clubs, volunteers and families are getting ready, training, supporting each other and celebrating as the flame of hope travels down the country. Text Novus to 3598 to support our athletes. That's Novus, Novus, to 3598 to support our incredible athletes at the Special Olympics in Christchurch, Ōtautahi this December. Notice it, Novus it.
Welcome to the DSPN.
Team New Zealand's in trouble.
Oh, he's done it again, Ricky Herbert.
The Devlin Sports Podcast Network.
He's a great old mate of the show, and we love him to bits, and he covers all the rugby for us in the Northern Hemisphere. Big weekend it was. Times online, rugbypass.com. You can read everything that he writes. Chris Jones joins us again. Mate, where do we even start? Let's start at the start, shall we? We've got a lot on the All Blacks, as you'd imagine, over the next couple of days. So just initially, your thoughts on that, the second half capitulation, England's brilliant performance, because it was a fantastic win for them. And I suppose the overriding question we want your opinion on is, are the All Blacks actually getting any better after 12 tests this year?
You are incredibly consistent at being inconsistent, aren't you? You are fantastic at creating a lead and then just inviting people along to take it off you. I don't understand how you've not learnt this lesson, because it's not like you haven't pained yourself enough by doing this all the time. But honestly, England 12-0 down, their defence was an open door. You were just running around. It was like watching schoolboy rugby. It was the most basic of ways to outflank a defence. And England were at 6s and 7s. And suddenly, along comes half-time. You let George Ford kick a couple of drop goals and come out the second half, and it's like, where are you? I don't understand how you're doing this all the time. Your coaches know it's happening, and they're not actually solving the problem. It's completely mystifying that a team that, when they had their foot on the throat, would finish you off. You guys just invite everybody back for a party, and a wonderful host. You just keep the door open. You've got to find a new coach to replace Jason Holland. Maybe you can get somebody who understands how to play in the second half. That might be a good start.
We had a press conference with Razor today before I spoke to you, and these questions were put to him about the second half, about, are we improving? He didn't want to answer that question about why can't we catch the high ball, and one of those things, that was obviously put to him is these things, why are the patterns reoccurring? Why do we see the same things over and over again? And he'd said, look, some of them, I asked him if he's got full confidence in his assistant coaches, because a couple of years ago, Ian Foster had 2 of his removed, remember, and Jason Ryan was added to the team, whether he wanted or not. And he said, some of them are learning on the job. I flabbergasted at that. At this level of international sport, you've got guys learning on the job. Well, I think that probably says a lot right there.
We're only 2 years out from a World Cup, and you actually would hope that he's got a coaching unit which is already instilling in the players, as we've seen with England. They've added one more guy to it recently, Lee Blackett, who is absolutely superb at attack. And that's made a big difference to England. That coaching unit will be in place now all the way through. You're about to make a change again. The current ones are going to have so many questions asked of them that life is going to they're going to start questioning their own ability, because you can't allow yourself to be part of a team that underperforms like this week in, week out, without realising that your own skill level might not be high enough. And yes, you're going to beat Wales. Wow, Wales, we managed to beat Japan with the last kick of the game. But it'll mean absolutely nothing. You will have to go back once again and look at those sort of 3 really important defeats you've had this year, with England being the third one, and examine the factors that follow all the way through. And the fact is, you cannot maintain momentum, as he says, But then you have to ask why. And then you say, well, is it the leaders in the team? I watched a staggeringly good performance today by Argentina, who were driven forward. They were driven forward by Montoya as the captain. They were driven forward by a back row that refuses to take a backward step. And they've got a guy in Santiago Carreras who can grab the game by the scruff of the neck. You just don't have those sort of key people in position anymore.
That's exactly right.
And you've got loads of talent. You've got the most exciting fullback in world rugby. When he gets the ball, it lights up the stadium. But in front of him is a front row which somehow forgot how to scrummage in the second half, despite gargantuan blokes on the pitch. You've got a second row, without Holland, looks incredibly average. Scott was anonymous. The back row, even Ardy's looking tired. He can't carry the team all the time. You just don't have those leaders who will grab hold of a team in a moment of crisis, bring them together and come up with answers. The Argies are 21-0 down at Murrayfield and managed to win, with Pablo Matera being absolutely fantastic and dragging that team forward by a force of will and his huge experience. You've lost an awful lot of experience. And I think, people like Geordie not being in the team, he learned a lot while at Leinster, but without him, you just lack those totem poles, those people that really make you believe in times of stress that you can still do this. And the Argentinians are looking fantastic at the moment because they believe whatever the situation is, they're going to win. And that's not the case with the All Blacks, which is remarkable.
I agree. You've got a couple of Centurions in Cody Taylor and Ardie Savea on the field. And when you're down to 14 men and you need to apply some scoreboard pressure and you get a kickable penalty, well, that should be kicked. I mean, it's the right side of halfway, or go for the corner and you tap and go. You've just got to... I mean, even the most basic rugby fan is sitting there asking what the hell is going on with this. And a team that after 26 tests looked completely lost in that second half. I agree with you, Chris. Look, and we're not screaming and gnashing and wailing and carrying on. We're just sitting here bemused and confused. And that's the look on the coach's face when you see the camera comes to him. He looks as confused as everyone else does.
When you see someone with such a great CV as Bowden Barrett kicking a ball dead from the penalty and then missing another one, these are the most fundamental and basic errors. You're also your inability to stop getting yellow cards. I know it's harsh on Cody, but you put your hand in there. Yeah. Everybody does. But if you get caught, you've got to pay the penalty. And this weekend we've seen yellow cards. We've seen yellow cards all over the place being handed out. Players have to understand the eyes in the sky are brilliant. They spot everything, and you're going to get caught. And you play it to the limit. You guys used to be the team that knew where the line was and knew how to just get over that line without being spotted. Now you're just like everybody else. You get pinged because you make silly errors. Taking a guy in the air when he's catching the ball. Come on, You're international rugby players. You are paid to make decisions in the most high pressure places in the world where they play the game you love. Yet you are making these sort of errors which are very un-All Black-like. But then we say that, don't we, every time we speak, because they're becoming a problem because they're not unique now. They are repetitive. And you are going to continue to undermine yourself if you don't stop these repetitive problems, which a lot of them are self-inflicted. And to say that your coaching unit is learning on the job is just ridiculous. You used to send coaches out to everywhere else in the world and upskill the rest of the world in rugby. You look like you need a few to come and help you. Give us a helping hand, you should be asking, because there are fundamental mistakes there which you can't afford. You're only 2 years out, Marty. Time is running out. It sounds ridiculous. We've got the strange Nations Cup coming up next year.
No, we're good.
It's going to be a very strange year next year, and we've now got a situation where we know what the World Cup pool is going to look like, and you've really got to get your best team nailed down. And I don't think you know what your best team is.
Let's talk about all the other ones, because we're going to navel gaze, as you know, at least for a good, well, probably 12 months and 2 years now till the World Cup about this, but certainly over the next few days. Argentina, let's talk about Argentina, who flew the Southern Hemisphere flag brilliantly, as the Box did as well, and we'll get on to them in a second, but 21-0 down again. I mean, this is a team that we've talked about this all year, Chris, and last year as well. They're legit. Don't think for a second they're not legit. I don't know how many other teams are coming back from 21 down, 14-0 down at halftime. Then you concede another 7 straight after halftime. Who else is coming back at Murrayfield against a buoyant Scottish side and owning that game and then convincingly winning that game? Not that many teams can do that, mate.
Now, and if they had their old scrum, they would be even more dangerous. I mean, if we just refer back to the England game, England beat you without a line out. Now, that takes some doing. The Pumas have been creating great results without a really dangerous scrum. And they don't have a dangerous scrum. They've got a workmanlike scrum. But they do all the other things so very well. And their style of play under their coaching staff is really attractive to watch. They've got some super runners in the backs. Mateo Carreras is a live wire on the left wing. Santiago Carreras comes on. He's fed up because he should have been starting and plays an absolutely outstanding match because man of the match for a second half performance. And what it is, they believe in what they're doing. They spoke all week about going to Murrayfield, big atmosphere, and proving they can win there. And afterwards, they were all giving the most fantastic interviews because they are confident in their own skins. They're going to come to Twickenham believing they can knock over England, even though it's going to be an absolutely fantastic game played at a breakneck speed against two really informed teams. And looking towards that World Cup, will their key guys still be fit enough? Will they be young enough? In the mind, yes, but their bodies are going to be pretty worn out over another 2 years. But they could be real contenders again at the World Cup just because they know how to win and they know how to come back from the sort of adversity we saw today, which is priceless.
Well, yeah, a last-minute penalty. Okay. First thing I want to ask you about this game is Wales are wearing white and Japan are wearing blue. What moron decides these things, Chris? Why couldn't Wales, if they're going to wear blue, why couldn't Wales wear their home strip in red? I turned on that game and I didn't know who was playing. How stupid is this? It's like the guy doing Super Rugby jerseys every week got the job.
Yeah, but see, we're so short of money that if we wear another version of a shirt, we can then flog it from the shop, you see. That's the way it's going. But I must say the Japanese kit looked absolutely awful. Looks absolutely dreadful. If Wales are playing in white, why aren't Japan playing in their red and white hoops? And they'll say, oh, yes, because it's people who are colourblind. Which, fine, there are instances where we've seen that. But to go from red to white against blue... I mean, maybe it's two teams who don't want people to know what they look like because at the moment neither of them are actually ripping up trees on the international stage. And thank goodness the Japanese managed to get 3 yellow cards and the last one giving Wales a chance to kick the winning penalty. Now, this is where we're at the moment, is that we're celebrating a magnificent victory. First time in 2 years we won at home over Japan. I don't know if the crowd was singing, "Can we play you every week?" But I think they should have done because they are the only team it seems we can beat at the moment. And it was 2
times. Yeah.
It was really important because it means that we will be at least 12th in the seedings for the World Cup, which sounds like a triumph. But when you have the history that we have in Wales, it's an absolute disaster that we're scrambling round trying to beat the Japanese to finish 12th in the rankings before they do the World Cup draw. And it's poor, it's dreadful, it's symptomatic of the whole state of Welsh rugby at the moment. And we've got 1 or 2 players who can perform. Louis Rees-Zammett's come back, looked okay. But quite honestly, we are a poor team and the crowd are fed up. But at least, unlike the Scots were booed by their own crowd, which we think is the first time that's happened at Murrayfield, that the crowd was booing. And I spoke to you a couple of weeks ago about Gregor Townsend taking this job with Newcastle Red Bulls. And if he doesn't get the results, he could be under pressure. Boy, is he under pressure.
I've got to say big ups to the young Welsh lad who came on in the 79th minute and kicked that goal. He'd only been on the field a couple of minutes and he came on. They brought him on specifically for that purpose. That wasn't an easy kick under those circumstances with all that pressure and a guy that wasn't really fully warm as much as he can on the sideline. He's not in the game. I thought that was a real pressure kick. Massive kick for him. All right, let's move on to the Springboks, who have a new game plan. It's called We're Going to Win a World Cup with 14 players. So when you look at their lineup next week, when it comes to number 5, it's just got a red card sitting there quite clearly, isn't it? So that's how they play now. They can actually, they've got 45 players and they can win with 14.
Yeah, Rassi is always pushing that envelope. This is a belter. This is where you pick one of the gargantuan players in World Rugby, and then he tries to tackle somebody who basically falls on their knees, and he hits them in the head, so you're off. Yeah, to lose one player to that problem is unusual. Lose 2, you start thinking this is definitely a Rassi tactic, because it just doesn't make any sense that the players would not learn themselves that, if you're going in with your head down and you're at a height where you might cause some problems, you might just want to drop. You might just want to put your head up and look what you're hitting. And it's most teams now with 2 locks banned. You think, oh, they're vulnerable. Well, of course, this is a Springboks. Yeah, what they? Oh, well, they can bring R.G. Snyman in, or they go, Esterbet. I mean, crikey, it doesn't get any easier for the opposition.
Yeah.
But again, this is a team, just like Argentina. No matter what position they're in, they do not believe they're going to lose. And it's very All Black in the way that they deal with these problems. They have a problem, they solve it. They don't lose their heads. Even though they afterwards will go through the whole thing about what is the game coming to? This is dreadful. All these these red cards. It should be a 20-minute red card. You hit somebody in the head with your shoulder. That's not a 20-minute red card. That's a straight red. And the reason you stay on the pitch is you avoid that type of problem. And it's hard to see a game disfigured like that. But they keep on proving that. The old adage is if you go down to 14 men, you can write the game off. 14 men, they'll say, right, we're in a perfect position. This is exactly what we planned.
Yeah, that's right.
This is what we planned in the team meeting now, right? We can kick on, which is a fantastic attitude to have. And, wouldn't the game be really boring without the South Africans at the moment? Because every week there's something going on, which
they're providing.
You shake your head and think, what next, Rassi? What next?
Chris, let's finish it on Belgium, who are 1 win away from making the World Cup. Down this end of the world, of course, we want Samoa to get there. I mean, I love Manu Samoa. 1991, we all remember that famous win over Wales. They got to the quarterfinal. But for the Belgians, a chance at making a World Cup. And I'm not talking about football, because that's obviously they've had a great record and made semi-finals at the World Cup before, in 86 in Mexico it was. But Tuesday or Wednesday our time at Samoa, Belgium, for a place at the big table. How about that?
Yes. If you can name 2 famous Belgians who are doing very well, I'll have a go with Eddie Merckx and Plastic Bertrand, who had that fantastic hit in the 70s.
There you go. Plan bon.
Yeah. 2 famous Belgians. Now you've got 15 famous Belgians who are going to take on the might of Samoa. It's great to see. They play a very European type of game. They've got a good pack. But can you imagine Belgium in the Rugby World Cup finals in Australia? It's a great story. I mean, of course, Samoa have got their players back from all the clubs that wouldn't release them for the original World Cup attempt. So they've got a fantastic team, and we all want to see those who follow the chiropractor into a World Cup finals, because they're just one of the great teams. And the best thing is, they're going to be the most dangerous floating team in that draw. And knowing Scotland's luck at the moment, they're going to get Samoa.
Huge thank you to Novus Glass for sponsoring this episode of the DSPN and for being a proud partner of the Special Olympics New Zealand. This December, over 1,200 incredible athletes, along with hundreds of volunteers, coaches and other support staff, will be making their way to Christchurch or Tautahi for the Special Olympics New Zealand 2025 National Summer Games. Novus Glass is proud to be supporting something special, and you can help support the athletes too by texting Novus to 3598. That's Novus, Novus 3598. Thanks again, Novus Glass, for supporting us here on the DSPN. Windscreen, crack or chip, notice it, Novus it.
DSPN.